Hello and welcome back in our TV studio in Prague Congress Center. It's my pleasure to introduce Rasmus Kleis Nielsen. He is a director of research at the Reuters Institute at the University of Oxford. Rasmus, welcome here.
Thank you very much. A pleasure to be here.
I was reading in your abstract that you examined the relationship between publisher and platforms. So what can you tell me about the conclusion about it?
So platforms like Google and Facebook have become incredibly important for how people find and access information all over the world very, very quickly. So these are now some of the biggest media organizations in the world and biggest technology companies in the world. And for publishers, so news media organizations, this is a really interesting situation and quite a challenging situation. On the one hand, platforms empower the publishers. So by using search engine optimization and social media distribution, publishers can reach many people that would never actually come directly to their websites or apps. So in this sense, the platforms help publishers be discovered and reach people with their content. On the other hand, the risk for publishers is that they also become dependent on the platform. So they come to rely on this traffic and they come to rely on the ability to make money off the content that they deliver via search or social. And this has been much more challenging to actually make this work for many publishers. So it's a slightly paradoxical situation where on the one hand, the publishers are empowered by the platforms, but they are also at the same time become dependent and a little bit challenged by them in the business side of things.
I know that you are doing political communication, so what can you tell me about American elections? Because Hillary Clinton's or Donald Trump's campaigns was big one, so what can you tell me about the biggest difference?
I mean, this is an extraordinary time. I mean, I'm a social scientist. I do social science for a living, and I thought that everything we knew as social scientists suggested that Hillary Clinton would win on Tuesday. We were wrong. We got it wrong. I'm still struggling to understand what exactly happened. So I think what we know about the campaigns is that Donald Trump ran a campaign that was very, very unorthodox and by most conventional standards actually quite unprofessional and quite chaotic. But it's also clear, obviously, now with the result, it's also clear that the appeal of his message and the fact that he was seen as a real outsider, a real change candidate, was so compelling that even though his campaign was actually not very smooth or well run by conventional standards, that his appeal was so big that even though the Hillary Clinton campaign was, by conventional standards, much more professional, he managed to win.
Hillary Clinton had more votes in the elections, but she lost the White House. So what can you tell me about the system? Is it bad or good?
I mean, it's hard for us as Europeans to understand these kinds of outcomes the same way that Americans can be very confused by multi-party systems. They only have two parties, right? So they find Europe very confusing. But it's just important to remember that the same way that the European Union consists of many different states, so does the United States. So it's not actually at the popular vote that decides the outcome. It's the outcome of the Electoral College, which is based around the 50 states of the United States. And the challenge for Democrats in presidential elections has always been that their support is very concentrated in big cities and a few big states. So they tend to win those states by very big margins. Hillary Clinton will win, New York, California by very, very large margins, hundreds of thousands of votes. And in a way, when it comes to the final result, those huge margins don't give her more votes in the Electoral College than if she had won California or New York by just one vote. So I realize that obviously it's always a strange result to see an election where the loser got more votes than the winner. But I think when you deal with a federal structure in a very large country, 360 million people, 16 million people, no electoral system is perfect.
I have a special questions for you. Have you ever been here in Prague before?
I have. I have had a lovely time in Prague, and I remember it particularly fondly because I was here in 1992 when Denmark won the European Championship in football, which I watched in a camping site in Prague with my parents. And I was congratulated, this little blonde Danish boy, by all these very nice people who thought it was amazing that we beat the Germans. So.
I'm glad that you have a very nice time here in Prague. Thank you for the interview and see you soon in our studio here in Prague Congress Center.
Thank you very much.